When I was 14 years old, my parents moved into an old house, and my siblings and I, well, we had to go with them. The house had a basement, a ground floor where my father had his office and worked. Then we had the living room, kitchen, bathroom, and above, the rest of the house was all bedrooms. Story proceeds. It's a summer night. It's being quite hot. And everyone's a bit tired and gone to bed, except me. I've stayed awake, taking a moment of peace. I'm going to watch TV, which is very rare. You cannot get that in a house with so many siblings. So I'm chilling out, watching TV. It's past midnight, and I hear a tapping sound, a very strong tapping sound. And at first, I can't discern what it is, till I realize it's my father's typewriter. Spooked out, but I'm the kind of person that wants to know what's happening. I get up and I head downstairs to my father's office. The door that leads to the office is missing the doorknob, and there's a gap from which you can see the other side. And it's in complete darkness. There is no one there. Yes, my father has to put a doorknob, but until he does, we use this wire that was left on the side of the door just in case we need it to open. So I take the wire, fidget a bit, unable to shake off the feeling that something is looking through the gap of the doorknob and waiting to just pounce on me. And the minute I open the door, I just can't shake it off. But I open the door, nothing happens. On my right, there's a switch, and I turn it on. The room is empty. I see my father's shelves, his binders, his books, diplomas on the wall, and the corner of the desk with the typewriter. It's in very good condition because my father keeps it spot on, ready for work. The room is quite cold, and I get goosebumps, even if it's summer in Spain, and the day has been horrible. Down there, it's cold, and not in a way that you would want to stay there and just be fresh. You would not want to be there because the feeling, the oppressing feeling was just, you felt like unwanted, like someone didn't want you there. I hated that part of the house because it always felt like that, even during the day. Yeah, so nobody there. Typewriter okay. I shut the door and I head up. As soon as I sit down in the living room trying to watch TV, the typewriter starts over again. So I head downstairs again, and typewriter stops as soon as I am standing behind the door. I open the door, nothing. This happens a couple of times. And finally, I find myself standing in front of the typewriter. The room is, the temperature drop is ridiculous. I can even see my breath fogging up at this point. And I know that there's something that's not right, and I'm terrified. But I have this nagging feeling that I have to know what's going on. There's got to be an explanation. So it hits me then. What if they're trying to communicate whatever it is, but there's no paper? So I put a piece of paper, and this this feeling of wanting to know and understand pairs with my fear. So now I'm on like a wave of fear and curiosity and wishing to know. Put the piece of paper and I run out of the room, go to the living room, sit down and wait. This time it takes a bit longer for the typewriter to start, but when it does, I don't rush downstairs. I count to 10, and then I go downstairs. When I stand at the door, again the typewriter stops. I open, turn on the light, and dash to the desk. There was nothing on the piece of paper. Not a word or a mark. Even if I'm spooked, I am more disappointed because I really had hopes to have a piece of paper like evidence. Even if people could say, oh, you did that, it wouldn't matter for me, because it would mean that I held a piece of paper that had been marked or written over by a ghostwriter or whatever was down there. So I just left the room, quite upset. Not before looking back and saying, very funny, to whatever is down there. When I turned off the light this time, there was, in the darkness, there was a figure, a black figure that stood out in the left corner of the room. It was tall and nearly reached to the ceiling, and it had the shape of a man, a shadow without a body. I looked at it and closed the door. And I didn't feel like watching TV anymore. I went to bed. And that is my story. Happy Halloween.